Salakia. Little technical glitch. I was on mute. Salakia. Throw me some ones up if the audio and video is all good. Shalom, family. Let's get this thing cracking. Quick audio video check. Throw me some ones up. Everything is all clear, sound and video. All praises, all praises. We got them ones. All praises. All right. Hey, let's get this out there. It's a hot topic, right? We pretty much is a bit of a continuation on what we talked about last week, right? But last week was just glancing across the surface about, how we could apply scripture and prophecy to what's going on right now, right? Wars and rumors of wars and so on and so forth. But we're gonna go a couple layers down, and we're gonna talk about some modern day events, right? That's happening right now that aligns with prophecy, that we can, Lord willing, get some edification going, because there's things happening right now that's been written, right? So we got to be aware of these things so we know how to move. You feel me? All praises. The water, Sister Tanya, for your continued gracious support. We appreciate you, Sister Hawatha, Wata Wata, right? All praises. Hey, let me check the likes. Let's check the likes over here. What we looking like? All right. Hey, we need to get them likes up, right? That help us in the algorithm. I need them likes up, share, comment, right? All that helps. All that helps. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes. Everybody do your thing. Share it with your friends, your family, your loved ones, right? Let's get this thing out there and get it cracking, because we got a hell of a topic. All right. I'm going to give y'all a couple minutes. Then we're going to get this thing crack-a-lacking. And Salakia for my raspy voice today. My voice always raspy, but it's extra raspy today. I got a little allergies going, man. But it ain't nothing but a small thing. You feel me? Let's see what we looking like. Let's get them. All right. All right. I see y'all. Getting them likes up. All right. We're getting them likes up. Okay. Hey, all praises. Want to give a shout out to some peeps I don't see often in here, because I know they on the East Coast and it's probably late, but all praises. Right? All praises, fam. You know what time it is, right? Of course, I already had to shout out to Sister Tanya. She be on point. She always on point. Appreciate you, sis. Right? All y'all soldiers, y'all know what time it is, man. You know I appreciate y'all. All right, who we got? Hey, man, got to give it up to my fam right here, Alton. Always good to see you, bro. Right? So look, let me check these likes one more time. Let me see if they still climbing. All right. I see them ticking. I see them ticking. So I guess we're gonna do this thing, man. We're gonna get this thing going, because it's a hot topic, right? It's a lot to talk about. We're gonna get into this. But let me start out with a proper introduction of the show. Of course, this is Yaziar from the Long Beach sect of the Sicarii camp, right? Sicarii LBC, aka the WOLFPAC, right? Headed by Bazak Barriah, Sergeant Bazak. our fearless leader, right? You know what I'm saying? But first and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High God, right? That's called Halal Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. That's all praises to the Most High in the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly knows as Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai Hamashiach in the Hebrew. You see what I'm saying? What we got going in here? I got to shut this messenger down. Messenger is popping right now. All right. So look, y'all see the title, right? Y'all see the title. Let's kick it off with a visual of the thumbnail, right? Let me share that screen real quick. All right. Y'all see the thumbnail, right? You see the caption below. Hey, this pregame warm-up right here. World War III is right around the corner, man. The BRICS is building, literally and figuratively, right? The BRICS, meaning we're going to go into what the BRICS is briefly, but I got some links in the description. You know, I think one of the links I put is a breakdown Deacon did about the BRICS that goes in depth about who these nations are, when they started, right? And we're gonna touch on the surface of it, right? We're just gonna glance across the surface and talk about who they are and why they exist and what their objectives is and how that aligns with things that's been written in prophecy in the Bible, right? And then what that means going forward, so we know how to move. You feel me? All right. So I guess one of the the first appropriate thing to be would, let's just give a cursory definition of the BRICS, right? Since this is the topic of the show, primarily. What is the BRICS? Let's go to the old Wikipedia. All right. It's what you call background information, right? So we all on the same page. So I just typed in BRICS in Wikipedia, and no, it's not a misspelling, right? It's an acronym. I know you really spell BRICS with a K, but this is an acronym for a group of countries that have certain treaties or allegiances, right? We're going to read about that. So, according to Wikipedia, BRICS. BRICS is a grouping of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, formed by the 2010 addition of South Africa to the predecessor BRIC. The original acronym BRIC, or the BRICS, was coined in 2001 by Goldman Sachs economist Jim O'Neill to describe fast-growing economies that he predicted would collectively dominate the global economy by 2050. Right? Well, Jim O'Neill must have been reading a bit of scripture, right? The BRICS nations encompass about 27% of the world's land surface and 42% of the global population. Brazil, Russia, India, and China are among the world's 10 largest countries by population, area, and GDP, right? And are considered to be current superpowers or potential emerging superpowers. All 5 states are members of the G20 with combined nominal GDP of 28 trillion US dollars. That's about 27% of the gross world product, right? A total GDP of around 57 trillion, which is 33%, 1/3 of the global GDP, and an estimated 4.5 trillion US dollars in combined foreign reserves, right? So, you know, it's a lot of power, right? Economically, right? So this is being defined in terms of economic joint ventures, right? They do business together. They have financial interests together, right? We're going to get into how that evolves. You know, in order to protect your financial interests, you got to have some military might, or else somebody going to get you, right? Because that's what the U.S. is famous for. The U.S. is famous for going and ganking resources, right? Just like all of the conquerors and colonizers. You know, they use their naval power to go and colonize and conquer. It's been done since the, you know, since time immemorial, right? So the BRICS were originally identified for the purpose of highlighting investment opportunities and had not been a formal intergovernmental organization since 2009. The BRICS were originally identified for the purpose of highlighting investment opportunities and had not been a formal intergovernmental organization. Since 2009, they have increasingly formed into a more cohesive geopolitical bloc, with their governments meeting annually at formal summits and coordinating multilateral policies. Bilateral relations among BRICS are conducted mainly on the basis of non-interference, equality, and mutual benefit, right? So this is just, like I said, some cursory background on what the BRICS are, right? It's presented as a nation, a group of nations that have some geopolitical / economic interests. And layered onto that has to be military interest, right? Because without the military backing, you about to get deboed by the other superpowers, right? Now, let's take a further look into how this plays along in what's going on today. We know, let's go back to the title, right? We know what the topic is, but look, what's one of the things that's happening? We know, it's cracking over there, with the Israeli Hamas war. But all of a sudden, China sends a fleet of warships to the Middle East. A lot of people might be like, what interest does China have in the Arab world? Like, what's their interest? Little do you know, it's pretty vast, and we're gonna get into that. But they sent their warships over there to protect their financial interests, their allegiances, right? And they're able to do this because they have certain alliances where, they feel like they can face up to the U.S. The Chinese Navy was recently deemed the largest Navy in the world. They got more warships and aircraft carriers and battleships than the U.S. Navy, who supposedly is the most powerful naval force in the world. But you put them together with Iran and Russia, and now you got a real serious problem for the U.S., right? Those are some powerful navies. Russia with their submarine technology, right? Iran also has a powerful navy. So just imagine what's going on over there in the Middle East right now. Because as we know, right, one of the things that just cracked off, and I don't know if a lot of people know, but we're going to go over it today, is, I believe it was last week, maybe a couple weeks ago, when it was, made public. It's probably been in the works, but the U.S. deployed, I believe they deployed the USS Gerald R. Ford, right? The aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford off the coast of Israel. And that's, a show of support to Israel, right? But the real tactical reason is dealing with something that we talked about last week, with Yemen getting involved, right? Remember, we talked about the Houthis in Yemen getting involved in the conflict, but they're 1,000 miles away from Israel. So how they get involved? Well, they lobbing guided missiles over there, right? They got some technology over there. They probably either got it from Russia or China, possibly Iran. Who knows? It's all kind of a circular deal, right? They work with each other, just like Israel uses U.S. Military equipment, right? So they're using either Russian or Chinese or even Iranian rocket technology to lob rockets over there 1,000 miles away. But why does the USS Gerald R. Ford park there? To pluck off the missiles that Yemen is lobbing out of the sky. You see what I'm saying? To protect Israel. Why? Because the U.S. has a financial interest, a vested financial interest in Israel. You see what I'm saying? You see how it all works? Now, that's the U.S.'s way of getting involved without actually declaring war, because a defensive move, you know, intercepting a missile is not an aggressive military move, right? It's defensive. So they get involved from a distance. But then now you got China getting involved. And you ask, why is China getting involved? Well, China has financial interests over there as well. So now keep in mind, okay? Keep this in mind. And we're going to get into some scripture in a second, but I want to lay this foundation down about what's going on currently, current events. The USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier is currently there and has currently engaged with intercepting missiles coming from Yemen. This has been verified by, several news sources, right? So, with a certain degree of certainty, what I'm saying, we could state that that operation is going on. But what you got to realize is when an aircraft carrier moves, it don't sail by itself, bro. When a United States aircraft carrier moves, it moves with a whole fleet. Why? Because it's not a agile ship, and it doesn't have a lot of cannons and offensive weaponry, right? So it's surrounded by battleships and destroyers and smaller craft, right? And even other planes and aircraft that run sorties around it from the coast, because it's got your average aircraft carrier is sitting there with dozens and dozens of $100 million plus aircraft. It's a sitting duck without the fleet. So just keep in mind, every time the U.S. Navy sells one of them aircraft carriers, right, which is the crown jewels of their fleet, is surrounded with an armada of battleships, destroyers, and other sea craft and aircraft. So that's a Debo move. You floating up there with a whole fleet, and you pulling up on the coast, like you was Debo back in the day. But little do you know, Craig's sitting there waiting for you with the BRIC, right? And no pun intended, but you get me, right? Craig with the BRIC. Because look, this is scripture. Through the Spirit, I'll get a scripture right now. I believe it's Joel 3. Hold on. A little off script, but sometimes we just got to go with it. Joel 3. Let's see. Joel 3 and let's see, where is it? Joel 3 and 9, I believe it is. Okay, yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna read Joel 3 and 10 or 9 and 10, right? And this is talking about us, but it's a scenario that's also happening right now where the other nations of the world, the superpowered balance has changed. The U.S. used to walk around like Debo. I'm the baddest. I got the baddest Navy, Air Force, Army, Marines, and we're going to go anywhere we want, and we're going to get that. We're going to Debo you. It ain't like that right now. You see what I'm saying? We starting to see the U.S. in another light. And so I want to read this that pertains to us, to understand that we sitting here rejoicing to see these things unfold because we know this is scripture, right? We know this is scripture. And what greater joy is there for a man to see the downfall of his enemy? You understand what I'm saying? So remember this right here. This is what's going on. And the war we're preparing for right now is a spiritual war, so that Yahushua can return and we can be his battle axes, right? In that battle of Jehoshaphat, which we're going to get to. Lord willing, the elect, we'll be a part of that elect that get to be a part of that, right? But let's read this real quick. All right, Joel chapter 3 and verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all of the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares and the swords, and your pruning hooks and the spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Right? That's a key right there. And we'll go ahead and read 11. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither, because thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Right? So right here, it's getting into the fact that the Israelites, us, we got to gather ourselves together, right? But we also see prophecy that's being played out of the heathens gathering themselves together, right? Because like Ezekiel 38 and so on and so forth, right? We got all these prophecies where, you know, all these countries got to come together to come against the whore of Babylon. And we see it happen, right? We're going to get into that. So let's take another peek into some current geopolitics, how this little ball of wax, we're going to unravel the threads, right? So we already mentioned that the U.S. sent the Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier over there, right? And my brother Tamayam, like he's real astute with, you know, aircrafts and war machinery, right? I think he was an engineer or mechanic at some point. And here's a fact, a useful fact. Carriers can hold up to 75 military aircraft at a time. That's not just dozens, that's several dozen. That's more than 6 dozen, right? All praises for that, King. Right? So that's one ship. That's a floating city. And imagine a whole fleet of probably half a dozen or more other ships surrounding it in support. Gerald R. Ford is already parked over there. They send in the Dwight D. Eisenhower next, right? Both of these are some of their top subs. You see what I'm saying? So the U.S. has a vested interest in protecting Israel. But guess who else is making moves? China. China's sending their fleet. You feel me? And they routinely do exercises with Russia and Iran. So we see China, Russia, and Iran already getting their navy up on the front line. Why? Because they have vested interest in other countries that they're allies with. You know, they deal in exporting certain things to, you know, countries like, let's say, Syria. Russia has Air Force bases on Syria. China has naval bases off of the coast, you know, near Syria and Lebanon. Oman, China has a naval base that these fleets sail from Oman. So they have their alliances, right? So it's not just a one-sided thing. And then they've got Iran that's coming from the other side of the Persian Gulf. You see what I'm saying? So it's strategic if you look at things on the map, how things are playing out and how the U.S. is trying to deal with China, but then China and Russia are circa to each other, right? So you see how the chess pieces is moving, right? And we're just talking naval right now because they got proxies to handle the ground war, right? And so one of the major things, let's look at it. I pulled up an article, Salakia. Let me pull up this article just for background, right? And like I said, all this background info will be in the description. All right. So look what it's official, right? China stationed up to 6 warships in the Middle East over the past week, right? Amid rising tensions from Israel-Gaza war, right? Reports. The arrival of a replacement escort group in the Gulf region meant 2 advanced 052 destroyers have been stationed there at a time of heightened tensions. The PLA's 44th Task Force, and the PLA is you know, basically the Chinese, right? I don't know what the exact agreement, but that's the Chinese military, right? 44th Task Force arrived in Kuwait for a 5-day visit, right? They pulling up on Kuwait. Remember the U.S. invaded Kuwait? So Kuwait had to go get an ally. Guess who it is? China. They got to go Navy for Navy, right? For a 5-day visit on Wednesday after spending several days in Oman's capital, Muscat, right? So you're starting to see China's allies, right? You see Ishmael, right? Right there, right? You see what I'm saying? See Moab and Ishmael? Look at them, right? Confederates, right? They're Confederates. But right now, see what I'm saying? They pushing up against our enemy. That's got to happen first. You see what I'm saying? And this is out of Beijing, 19th of October. So, you know, a little over, just at a week or so ago, right? A little over a week ago. And, you know, I got the link in here. We'll read couple more paragraphs, right? It says up to 6 Chinese warships have been operating in the Middle East over the past week, according to reports. The 44th Naval Escort Task Force has been involved in routine operations in the sea in the area since May and arrived in Kuwait for a 5-day visit on Wednesday, according to the Chinese Defense Ministry website. The task force left Oman's capital, Muscat, on Saturday after spending several days there last week, including a joint exercise with the country's Navy, state media reported. So they've been doing joint exercises with Oman. They pulling up on Kuwait, right? They got allies. They got allies in Iran. You see what I'm saying? So how does that unfold, right? You got to look at the map. All these countries, all these Arab countries in the Middle East that's surrounding the Gaza Strip and the Israeli state, they not really happy with what's going on because for one, it's bad business, and for two, you know, they sitting there watching these people use U.S. bombs and U.S. military equipment to kill babies, women, children, and elderly. So it ain't a good thing, right? People ain't gonna be happy about that. And so China is not going to start lobbing military bombs or nothing, but what they're going to do, China has announced that they're going to cut off, they're going to do an oil embargo against Israel. And now, you know, and Iran did this back in the 70s, and it crippled Israel because they depended heavily on foreign oil. But now, you know, the U.S. has reserves, and Israel can drill off of their own coast. So it's not such a big thing. But who does that affect? Who, just curious in the chat, and I'll give you a hint because it's the second most populated country next to China. So who do you think would be greatly impacted? Aside from the U.S., our gas prices will go up in this country, right? If Iran does another oil embargo. But who would it really cripple or really affect if they're not in pocket with Iran? And the hint is it's the second largest populated country in the world next to China. Who do y'all think that would affect? I'll give y'all about 30 seconds, right? Give y'all about 30 seconds. And we're going to spend probably about another 5 minutes on the background info, and we're going to get into the scriptures, right? But I want to lay this foundation, right, with the background info first. So let me give some responses from the chat. Who do y'all think an Iranian oil embargo, what country would that absolutely cripple if they weren't in alliance or in allegiance with Iran? All right. Another hint. It's the second most populated country. India. You see what I'm saying? Now, let's go back to the BRICS. We mentioned Russia. We mentioned China. now we see how India is in the crosshairs, right? Because we know that China, Russia, and Iran have business interests, right, together. They're linked as far as how they try to deal with things, you see? So now if Iran tries to pull a move and just put oil embargoes out, right, the U.S. might be all right because the U.S. got, you know, reserves, and all these Arab countries, they're gonna be all right. They got Saudi Arabia and allies. Israel will be okay. The U.S. will take care of Israel. Plus, like I said, they could probably drill offshore for their own stuff. But India will be severely crippled. Now you see why it's so important for India to have these, what they call that geopolitical, you know what I'm saying, allegiances or alliances. That's why they're an integral part of the BRICS, right? And here's the crucial thing. You know, India, I mean, they're not a big military power, right? It's, you know, nobody's afraid of India's power, but they can play a part in some kind of nuclear warfare. That's strategic, right? And also they could play a part in other ways, meaning a propaganda arm, maybe. Because here's the crazy thing. I've been trying to figure out, I've been looking up, trying to figure out, you know, news about this stuff and who's talking about it, because I keep hearing about it, right? None of your regular outlets of the Western media is really covering all this movement that's going on. And then I'm looking and I'm going, guess what? Guess who is putting out the story from the side of China and Russia, right? And Iran. They putting out their news with a spin towards that side. Guess who's doing that on a global scale? India. India is putting out news that sheds a positive twist, right? A positive twist. Let's see, let's get that. Where is that? All right. So let's play this real quick, just so you got some background. Let's play this. All right, you'll see the pattern. Okay.
In a major.
All right, so I'm gonna play this clip right here and take note of the source. So, like, let me take this banner down. Take note of the source. It's the Hindustan, right? The Hindustan Times. You already know what time it is, right? Hindu, India, right? Pakistan, that region. The Hindustan Times is putting this story out. So peep what they're saying. And this is what we just talked about, Salakia. Go back to this. All right. Share that. All right. And throw a 2 up real quick if you can't hear. But here we go.
In a major economic move amid its war with Hamas, Israel has awarded a dozen licenses
What's going on?
to look for natural gas.
I think I slowed the speed down. Playback speed, normal. What's going on? Let's bump it down. Maybe it's, you know what I'm saying? If she start transforming. Hold on. All right.
In a major economic move amid its war with Hamas, Israel has awarded a dozen licenses to look for natural gas off the country's Mediterranean coast. 6 companies have been given licenses to look for gas reserves west to the Leviathan field, which is already a huge source. In the last 15 years, big gas deposits have been found in eastern parts of the Mediterranean Sea. With these new exploration projects, Israel hopes to build its own reserves and also step up exports to Europe, which is trying to wean itself away from Russian supplies. Israel's move comes just days after Iran called for a major chokehold on Israel's energy supply. Crude oil, since it has negligible domestic crude production. The West Asian country.
Right. So that was just the general gist of what we just talked about, right? Israel ain't tripping. They ain't really tripping. You know, they got their own supply. Plus, the U.S. is going to take care of Israel regardless. But let's get into a little bit more further into this. Let's get a little bit further into this, right? Let's see where it is, right around here. All right. Here we go. A peep game.
It said that the GCC works as an honest oil exporting partner in the international community and is committed to energy security. Despite these reassurances, however, Iran's demand to choke Israel brought back memories of the 1973 oil embargo. During the 1973 war between Israel and the Arab nations, Arab members of OPEC banned oil exports to America for helping Israel. They had also cut down oil production. The embargo was later extended to other nations supporting Israel, like Netherlands, Portugal, South Africa. This was done to force Israel to pull its troops back from areas it had taken from Egypt and Syria in the Yom Kippur War. The embargo on the US lasted from October 1973 to March 1974. It caused a major worldwide energy crisis, leading to a sharp increase in prices. In contrast, an oil embargo on Israel now would be more of a symbolic move than a huge blow. At least that is what experts say. S&P says that America could easily help Israel if OPEC boycotts it. Since USA exports 3 to 4 million barrels per day, it could replace any oil cuts that Israel suffers from Arab nations. However, these developments would be ringing alarm bells in Delhi. India is the third largest consumer of crude in the world. India imports around 80% of its oil requirements. Delhi is also often at loggerheads with Muslim members of the OIC over issues like Kashmir. In such a situation, the prospect of oil supply being turned into a weapon does not bode well. After the 1973 oil embargo, Western nations worked actively at reducing their dependence on imports, especially from the Middle East.
Right? So you see how that goes, right? You see how that goes. All these allegiances, all these little paper allegiances, right? It's not real. They ain't down for each other, especially the U.S. The U.S. is all about what can you do for me? You see, decrepit, senile Joe Biden over there, over there patting Netanyahu on the back. Yeah, man, come on, man. That's his little puppet, right? And then you see the same old decrepit Biden over there meeting with the prime minister of India, because he know that if India gets out of pocket, it's problems. Whether he knows scripture or not, if India gets out of pocket, it's problems for the U.S., right? So look, you see what's going on, right? You see what's going on, and who's reporting on it? The Hindustan Times. Not one peep from any of the Western media, because the Western media don't want you to know what's going on. They don't want you to know that they shoveling this devil around the world trying to make allegiances. But what he really doing is getting them in the room and telling them, look, we about to make this move. So, you want to be on our side. He trying to be diplomatic, right? Let's see what Sefer Aman, the Israel government is committing war crimes in Gaza. They are giving the Jews a bad name. In time, we will look back and think of this Jewish government on par with what the Nazis did. And you know what, Safar, are you from that region, or do you have family in that region? Because you seem familiar, intricately familiar with the scenario. I'd like to better understand, what are your connections to the area, and or how do you come about your opinions and your understanding? Because I agree. right? With a lot of what you're saying. I mean, I don't disagree at all with anything you're saying. But that's not the common Western take, right? So, how about some background on where you're from, if you may, right? But you see what he says. The Israel government is, they're giving the Jews a bad name. So just like we said last week, right? It's not a monolith of opinions and outlooks over there, right? There's a small concentrated group of power, which for lack of a better word, they're deemed Zionists, right? Because the Zionist movement started with the first land grab, and they came in, the Brits kicked out the Ottoman Empire, and hence we had the whole Balfour Declaration, right, in 48, where that strip of land was cut out for European and Russia, Georgia immigrants to come in and basically do a land grab, right, from the Arabs that had lived there since the Ottoman Empire invaded our territory, right? So at the end of the day, it's a bunch of heathens coming in there and wrecking shop, right? So, but I'm interested to hear from Sefer, Salakia, or sorry if I'm butchering the name, but Sefer Aman, right? Right? You know what Aman means, right? So be it. So yes, let me know, because here's the strange thing. Now, what do you think Russia's take is on this? What do you think Russia's take is on this, right? Because look, let's backtrack. Let's involve the B, Brazil. Let's see what Brazil's take is. Interesting. And like I said, Safar, give us some background on where you're from, and depending on where you grew up or what your background is, you form a different opinion than the Western consensus, right? So, if you will just share that information with us, so that enlighten us with that information, so we can get a better understanding of, how you come to your conclusions. So let's see. What does Brazil think about this? Let's see. All right. Let's see. All right, we're gonna let that ad play, and then get back into this. All right. Let's hear what Brazil's leadership got to say about this whole thing, right? Because according to Safar or Sefer Aman, some people deem this as genocide, right? Even some people in Israel. So let's see what Brazil, the B in the BRICS, and guess what? We're gonna see a common thread here: the Hindustan Times. You're not gonna hear this repeated in Western media, but the Hindustan Times, right? Because they have an alliance. The BRICS has an alliance, and the Indian people, the Indian media, right, is essentially, I don't want to call it propaganda, but it's a media arm, right? An information arm. Hold on. That's going too fast. The other one I had to speed up. This one going too fast. All right. Let's read the captions here, because I don't know what the hell this dude's saying. He's speaking Portuguese, right?
Não se trata de ficar discutindo quem está certo, quem está errado, quem deu o primeiro tiro, quem deu o segundo.
Right? He said, it's not about who's right or wrong or who shot first, right? And he's going to break it down. He said, this is the problem.
O problema é o seguinte aqui, não é uma guerra, é genocídio.
Ooh. He said, this is not war, this is a genocide, right? So, right? And look what Sefer is saying, right? Committing war crimes. That's a nice way of saying genocide, killing babies, and civilians, right? They're giving the Jewish people a bad name, right? And we'll look back and think of this government on par with what the Nazis did. Okay, who will look back? So far, because definitely not everybody, definitely not people in the US for the most part, definitely not most of these European countries that, full sell. They don't want to hear nothing. You look at the news in the West, and it's as if they don't kill them babies over there. It's as if it's some strategic thing. So that's why I'm interested in understanding where you come across that viewpoint, because it's definitely not a Western viewpoint, right? So, yeah, but we'll move along. But you see what Brazil is saying. Said this is not a war, this is a genocide, right? I'm gonna let it play some more and read some more captions. All right. Hamas says over 2,900 children are dead in Israel. 2,900 children. All right. So there, the Brazilian president has called the ongoing Israeli-Palestine war in Gaza a genocide. So there you have his opinion. He didn't, you know what I'm saying? He didn't mix his words, right? So we know how Brazil feels. We know China is about it. They moving warships, right? They're not having it. We know India is the propaganda arm. You see the BRICS coming together, right? Let's see what Russia think about it. Let's see what old, you know what I'm saying? Old P. Shiesty, what do you think about it? Let's find that. All right. It's what P. Shiesty think about it right here. Old Pooh Shiesty. Here we go. All right, we're gonna let that ad play, and then we'll get to Pooh Shiesty. All right, here we go.
Is watching Israel's war against Hamas more closely than the Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is now trying to seize on the war to say that it is a battle between the United States and Israel versus the rest of the world. Fred Pleitgen.
You hear that? Pooh Shiesty is saying it's a battle of the United States and Israel against the rest of the world. Pooh Shiesty over there, man, look, he already got his own problems because they trying to gaffle him for going over there and trying to take his land back from you know what I'm saying? From the what's the country over there, right? One of those stands, whatever. Oh, Ukraine, right? He trying to take that land back because that used to be part of the Soviet Union. So he got slapped with war crimes. So Pooh Shiesty, he ain't selling no ships. He might have some submarines over there, but he posted up. But CNN put this out, right? But look at the spin CNN put on it now, right? CNN always try to be kind of in the middle, but playing both sides. Typical devils, right? Listen to this.
It's out front.
As Israel's military continues its war against Hamas, Russian leader Vladimir Putin is framing the conflict as part of a global struggle of America and the West against the rest of the world.
Right? NATO, America and the West, which is the United States, the whore of Babylon, right? Versus NATO and the United States versus the BRICS. Because, you know, we mentioned the superpowers of the BRICS, right? But you got to understand all of these small proxies that are in allegiance with the BRICS as well, which 80% of oil production, right? India depends on 80% of their oil production from Iran or OPEC in general, but Iran particularly, because that they're the closest, right? So look, the battles are lining up. Pooh Shiesty's calling it out. And we're going to get into Ezekiel 38 in a second, right? So let's see where Safar says, I grew up in Iran when Iraq was bombing us with American help in the 80s. Okay, got you. Moved here to USA as a kid in 85, became a citizen, and now I'm a Trump supporter, believe it or not. Well, hey, you support who you want. You know what I mean? We only down with our people over here because neither side of them are for us. You see what I'm saying? Sefer? And I'm assuming you're Persian. Is that correct? Or is that correct? Iran, you're Persian. Maybe you speak Farsi is your first language, right? So yeah, there's a lot of Iranians, and see, this is, let me take a little sidebar here, right? Because want to give our guests an adequate you know what I'm saying, interaction here, because it's not often that we'll have someone with such a unique perspective, right? But this man here, Sefer, and correct me if I'm saying your name wrong, but Sefer Aman, he's Persian from Iran, right? Said he grew up in Iran when Iraq was bombing us with American help. And this would be early 80s, right? Because the Iran-Iraq war was maybe 80, 81, if I'm correct, right? But here's the irony, Sefer. My father was in the American military, and up until right around that time, 81, 82, he was stationed in Germany. And if you remember, around 78, 79 is when the Iran hostage crisis happened, which from what we were told in the West, and maybe you can give me some background on this, and this would maybe edify some of our people that are or regulars in this chat, right? Because it's an interesting perspective, because my father was in the military, so all I heard was the American perspective of there was an embassy in Iran, an American embassy in Iran, and it happened in 78 or 79, right before Jimmy Carter went out of office. It was going down. Ronald Reagan came into office in 1980, so I know it was the late 70s. But the embassy got overran, and they literally took American citizens out of or held them hostage in the embassy, and was hanging them in the street one by one until the U.S. got the hell up out of there. Because what was the U.S. doing? The U.S. was in there trying to overthrow the Shah of Iran. They didn't want Iran to have a military, or not a religious, right, leadership, or what they call a theocracy, right? The Ayatollah Khomeini. Exactly, Ali Ashai. See, the OGs, we was walking around there, right? Right? See, the Iran hostage crisis, November 4th, 1970. Exactly. So there we go. We see how all these things unfurl, right? And it's interesting that we have someone in here from Iran that has probably an even more unique perspective than any of us, right? Because we grew up in American media. And I know my father was a soldier. So literally, he was going over there, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was part of his deal. He had to get deployed and, make sure people was getting out the embassy type shit, right? So that's how it was cracking. It was literally boots on the ground. I know, because my pops was in the military at that time. I know what was going on, right? They couldn't see, they called it a terrorist, event. But why the hell was the U.S. over there trying to overthrow their government? And granted, and I don't want to make any assumptions, but Sefer, most of the Persian guys that I know around my age, or close to your age, that migrated to the U.S., they weren't friendly with the Ayatollah Khomeini. They were more liberal, right? The guys I know that I used to work with in the music industry, right? It was the Ayatollah Khomeini was a strict theologian, right? He what do you call that? He was, strictly Quran, right? It was a theocracy. Like you couldn't do things like play rock and roll or R&B music. That was, that was haram. You know what I'm saying? That was haram to them. You would get, caned, maybe even killed. So a lot of the guys I know that migrated over here, that got up out of there, was because, they sided with the U.S. and hence they were able to migrate, right, to the U.S. And that's why to this day, I think Burbank has a large population that is a result of that migration, right? So look, let's see what Safar said. Say, yes, I am Persian. It's correct. Speak Farsi. Okay. But I do got love for you and your community and listen to what you got to say with utmost respect, because sometimes the bad guy, bad, we all brothers. Well, I feel you, but the whole we all brothers thing, that's a U.S. construct, right? And the U.S. wants us to believe that, but and a matter of fact, this is interesting because I only know my perspective, right? Of I know some Persian guys, but I don't want to assume that I know anything, right? So what's he saying here? The embassy hostages didn't get released until Ronald Reagan was confirmed. It was a deal that the nation made to avoid war. Iran government made a deal with the U.S. Yeah, you're correct. But see, here goes the thing. Ronald Reagan played politics because Jimmy Carter had already solidified the agreement. But Reagan said, you know what? It was November 4th, election time, right? When the thing cracked off. So when it was evidently clear that Reagan was going to be the next president, you got to realize the U.S. president gets elected the first Tuesday in November, and then he doesn't get inaugurated. He doesn't have any power until January 20th or so, right? When Congress, what they call it, they do the tally on all of the electoral votes, and they make it valid. Boom. They hit the gavel and he's inaugurated. So that's what you call a lame duck session, right? Carter was still the president technically from November 4th on, but here's the but. He didn't have any power. So they waited. They waited until Reagan got in office to make the move, but it was already decided, from the gate. You feel me? You see how those politics work? It's a crazy thing. And it's no irony in the fact that they did it around election time, because you got to play politics, because the U.S. is over here bickering and fighting and politicking amongst each other. And guess what? Those people that raided that embassy, they was like, oh, yeah, they slipping. Let me go get that. You see what I'm saying? Right? Says what? Right? So look, Safar, I got a question here. And if you would, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to show your camera, but I just wanted to have a friendly dialogue with you just so my people can be edified, right? If you could, click the link, right? Join me backstage, and then we'll have a discussion on the live, and I'm sure it'll be edification for my people, because you're Persian, your language is Farsi, you understand the culture, right? I have my understanding of some of the culture, but that's just from the perspective of people I know. But right, I just posted a link in the chat, Safar, and if you could click the link, right? Click the link, because hey, I don't disagree with what most of you say, but I have to draw the line with we're all brothers. Hey, all praises. You got respect for my people. That's cool, right? I'm cool with that. I can make peace. I want to make peace with every man I can. But what I want you to understand is that clearly we're not the same people, right? And I can tell you, if I went over there to wherever the Persian guys are and the Persian families are, let's say in Burbank, and I wanted to date one of the Persian girls, hey, Safar, how do you think the Persian fathers would accept me dating one of their daughters? How you think that would go down? They're not going to have it at all. In fact, they specifically don't want their daughters dating no black man, but they would not accept them, a lot of their daughters dating outside of the Persian culture. Right? Right? So look, they sided with the US the same way me and my family did, right? The majority of people in Iran didn't like the religious regime that overthrew the Shah of Iran with the help of US. Okay, so the US is going in there, right? The US is going in there poking their nose in people's business and putting in governments, installing governments, right? So that's why I'm interested in having a conversation with you, Safar, right? Because I want to hear your perspective, and I want you to understand my perspective of, I feel you got respect for my culture, but I want to understand exactly how much respect do you have really, right? Or how much could you have? You see what I'm saying? Because it sounds like you and I are around the same age. You see what I'm saying? You and I are around the same age, and because everybody know how old I am who know. But if I was in Germany in the 70s, the late 70s to early 80s, you already know. I think we stayed there from 78 to 82, right? Right, Safar. It's a Western thing, right? You know that's not true. You've been westernized, right? Because we over here, we know it ain't true. That's why I want you to click the link, because I can't text fast enough to keep up with the text dialogue, right? I'm gonna post the link again. I want you to click the link, right? And like I said, this will be edification for my people to hear your perspective, because you were over there, you were born over there, right? And you migrated over here, and you support Trump. Why? I don't know. But hey, maybe it's economic, because most people that are foreigners that I know that support Trump, oh, he's a great businessman, even though he's been bankrupt. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Safar. Right? Most Persian fathers would not be cool with you dating them. But believe it or not, there are some that it don't bother. Some, right? Very few. But most. It's the predominant, it's the prevailing ideology of your culture. They hate niggas and Mexicans. Period. Look, Ali Ashai. Y'all don't live where we live. Y'all fathers tell us stay away from them people, right? So I'm glad you cool, but how cool are you, right? I'm glad you sit and peep us out, right? Observe us from a distance, but how cool are you really, right? Would you give up your inheritance for the cause? And that's an honest question, Safar. It's an honest question. Would you give up your inheritance for the cause? Meaning, if your father has some money to leave to you, as long as you didn't displease him, right? But you said, you know what? I want to go join the cause for these people over here, the so-called Blacks, Latinos, and indigenous people, because I feel 100% what they say is right, and I'm not going to stand it, right, any other way. Would you do that to give up your inheritance? Huh? Safar. Because if you will, right, you could start by showing your mustard, right? Cash App Bazaar. See that? This is how you can start putting your money where your mouth is, right? Cash App Bazaar. I can understand if you're shy and don't want to come on here and talk. All right. You see that $ Bazaar? That's the Long Beach Cash App. If we brothers, bless us with some gas money and some travel money so we can get out there and feed our people with this word. You see what I'm saying? Because I can guarantee you, you can say we all brothers, but if it came down to it and you had to choose between your father who hates us and us, I mean, I can't assume what your choice would be, but it would be a safe assumption that you would not forego your family for us. So look, this is the thing, Safar. I'm gonna break something down to you real quick, like, right? You, just like a lot of other cultures, love our talents and our abilities and our capabilities, right? You respect, you learn from us, right? You say you learn from us, or is it, you know, maybe like some people in Hollywood that wear the small hats, they profit from us, right? They're in industries that they capitalize on us, right? Yes, I've been westernized, grew up on rap music, right? That's not westernized. That's our shit that has been cannibalized, that has been, you know what I'm saying, taken from us, and our bread's been taken and thrown to the waters. See what I'm saying? We don't capitalize from it. In fact, we suffer from it. We in the hood getting shot down, right? Because gangster rap is popular in the hood, is popular in the world. And we got niggas really in the hood killing each other behind this shit. It's young niggas to this day that won't get a record unless they go out there and talk about shoot them up, kill them up, fuck a bitch, fuck a hoe, trapping this, trapping that, selling dope. We not the ones making the profit off it. It's a whole nother culture, right? It's a whole nother culture. And what we call that is culture vultures. And look, Safar, click the link, man, if you really about it. Or if you really a brother, right? I'll hit it again. Cash App, $ Bazaar. Right? Let's see how much of a brother you are, because talk is cheap around here, right? You say your father don't hate us. Okay, I can't make so any assumptions, because you could be the exception to the rule. But you got to understand, and you've already admitted, at the very most, you're the exception to the rule, because the prevailing sentiment is that your people hate niggas and Mexicans, right? That's the prevailing sentiment. So until you hit that $ Bazaar, I don't trust nothing you saying, right? And depending on, and I'm not talking super chat, because YouTube will take 30%, right? So depending on how swift you hit that Cash App, right? How swift you hit that Cash App, that's how much that's how many cents I'll give, how much percent I'll give to what you're saying, right? Because you say you learn from what we spitting about Sicarii, right? Okay, but that's our people's bread. I can show you your fate in the end. And look, our goal is total world peace. Our goal is total world peace at the end of the day, right? But things have to happen. We're talking about these wars and rumors of war, right, that have to go on in order for the righteous to be in rulership and to rule this world righteously under our King Yahushua Hamashiach, according to the way the Most High God wants us to do. But in order for that to happen, some shit has to go down. A lot of killing, a lot of wars, a lot of reshuffling of hierarchies. And what we was getting into right now is that we see all of these modern day current events that are going on that's in our book, that's prophesied in our book, right? So I'm gonna get back to that, Safir. And if you want to be down, once again, you know the Cash App, right? Other than that, right, I'm gonna let you know what the deal is. See what I'm saying? Because just growing up listening to Dr. Dre and Tupac, nigga, have you really been through the struggle? Have you really been about it? Have you really done anything to ease the suffering? Have you stood in front of bullets? All right. Look, this nigga broke. How you broke? Right? You telling me you're a two-time loser? Your daddy cut you off? See? Look, man, I don't know what your story is, but it ain't adding up, right? Well, I'm gonna get back to the scriptures because look, at the end of the day, when the righteous rulership is returned, all the other nations, they will bow down, right? They will bow down and serve the Most High God, right? According to his will, right, Safir? Like, are you one of those people? Or are you one of them that's going to buck and be like, I can't bow down to no Negro, right? You see what I'm saying? You got to understand what direction this thing is headed in. And I'm going to get into that right now because I need to get into some scripture and stay in the spirit before I start talking, you know what I'm saying, out the side of my mouth, right? See what I'm saying? I'm going to go into Ezekiel 38 because we was talking about Russia, right? Oh, Pooh Shiesty. Matter of fact, did I finish Pooh Shiesty? Let's get back to Pooh Shiesty real quick, and then we'll go to Ezekiel 38. Right? Look, bring it out, Ali Ashad. I never heard of a broke Persian before. But look, like I was saying before, nigga, I knew a billionaire Persian man. He talking about he came over here broke, and his broke wasn't nowhere near my broke. You feel me? Hey, you say you got the cash out, man. Hey, bless us with some change. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need. We need gas money. We need lodging money for when we're on the road. We need money for signage, right? It's hard work out here. You feel me? You talking about you down with the music, be down with that finances, right? For real, right? But we're gonna let's listen to what Pooh Shiesty up to, and then we're gonna get in Ezekiel 38 through the spirit, right?
It's the current ruling elites of the United States and their satellites that are the main beneficiaries of global instability. They extract their blood toll from it.
While many nations around the world condemned Hamas after the October 7th raid on southern Israel, killing more than 1,400 and taking hundreds of hostages, including Russians, Russia invited a high-level Hamas delegation to Moscow for meetings. A top Hamas leader saying the group would give preference to captives from what they call their, quote, Russian friends.
This request from Russia we treat more positively and attentively than others due to the nature of our relations with Russia.
Right? You see what's going on, family? Pooh Shiesty got his own allegiances over there. You see what I'm saying? And he's sitting back in Moscow doing his thing. And you heard what Pooh Shiesty said. They're bloodthirsty and they going out making allegiances to capitalize on people. He telling on them, right? Pooh Shiesty telling on him, even though he do the same thing, but with a different twist, right? But that's what the deal is. But then now you got all these smaller people, right? These smaller countries who's looking at the US like, wasn't you that big bad wolf at one point? Oh, you mean Pooh Shiesty? You know, he got my back, right? So look, where we can find that at Isaiah 14 real quick before we go into Isaiah 14. Let's see. Where is it? Right. Where is it? Yeah, Isaiah 14, basically talking about the king of Babylon, right? And then all of a sudden, he ain't the big bad wolf no more. Right? He ain't the big bad wolf no more. So through the spirit, I'm gonna go to Isaiah 14 real quick, just to let Sefer know where we're coming from as far as, you know, our place and according to our prophecy of what the end times of what that appointed day will look like, right? So let's get Isaiah 14 and read a few scriptures out of this, right? So Isaiah 14 from the top, and this is an end time prophecy, right? Of when the kingdom is returned to Israel, right? We've repented as a people. We've turned back to the Most High. Yahushua has come. We've gone through the battles, right? We've done what we needed to do. We purged the rebels, and then we are given back the kingdom, and we enter our land, and we rule in righteousness. And when the righteous are in rule, the world rejoices. Right now, the world is mourning because the world is ruled by wicked people, right? But this is us looking into the future of what will be if we do what our Most High God said, right? Our Most High God, Yahweh, right? So look, Isaiah 14:1 says, "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel." And for the heathens in here, don't get it twisted. Israel is a people descended from our forefather Jacob, surnamed Israel, who had 12 sons, which each son represent one of the 12 tribes. It's a patrilineal blood descendancy. It is not a religion, and it's not a state in the middle of our land, right? It is a people. And our land is not a little slither amongst the coast by the Gaza Strip. It's from the Nile to the Euphrates, right? Which includes part of Iraq, which includes part of Saudi Arabia, which includes the vast part of Africa, right? That's our land. See what I'm saying? And the heathens will have their land. And some of the heathens will live in our land and work for us. But it's going to be under our rulership in that day, in that appointed time, right? That's where we coming from. For all the heathens that don't know, that want to be down, this is how you can be down. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, right? The strangers going to be there. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, right? The so-called Blacks, Latinos, and indigenous people of the Americas, the real children of Israel scattered to the four corners of the earth, right? Where are the lost tribes? If these people over there are claiming our land as the people, where are the lost tribes? The Bible said Israel shall be trodden down by the heathen until that day of refreshing, right? And the people shall take them, the people meaning us, the true children of Israel, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, right? That's why I say, Sefer, if you down with it, right, you got to show some sense of servitude, right? You can't be talking about you broke and you sitting over there. Look, let me put it in hood terms, right? Since Buddy said he like hip hop, right? If we in the hood, right, and a nigga talking about, let's say a nigga owe me some change, right? Say he owe me something. He done been on my set making money and he ain't go through the proper channels. And I run across the nigga and I say, nigga, check your pockets. Like you owe me money. What's going on? And no, I'm broke. I'm broke, man. I'm broke. Let me catch that nigga out somewhere eating or spending money at the mall or buying some new shoes, right? You know how that's going to go, right? Run them pockets. You're going to get turned upside down, right? Look, Sefer, you know, you got to go to work So obviously you ain't broke. You got a morning job. You probably got a 9 to 5, right? Yeah, he trying to go to work at 11 o'clock. He probably got to get in at 8. Hit that cash app when you get paid on Friday. Then I'm gonna believe you that you got even the slightest bit of respect, right? But in the meantime, I'm gonna put this word out to my people, right? So look, we all know what the heathens got coming to them. Servitude, right? And they shall take them captives whose captives they were, right? We know the Persians are descendants of Elam. We know that the Elamites had us in captivity, right? That's why we celebrate Purim. Where our forefather Mordecai, right? You can read about that through the book of Esther when the Persians had us in captivity. See what I'm saying? You could read about Titus and you know what I'm saying, all of these different Darius and all these different Persian leaders that had us in captivity, right? It's like you're not Titus, but Darius, right? But look, we all know it's going to come to pass. The Lord is going to give us rest from our sorrow, right? And from the hard bondage that we were sent to serve. But what about the man that was on top, right? What about the man that used to be on top, right? It says, yea, the fir trees, Salakia, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fella come up against us, right? Hell from beneath is moved from thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirred up the dead from thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. So all the big dogs, the weak shall be empowered, right? The gospel is going to be inherited by the meek, by those that are in prison, those that are oppressed, the Israelites that are going through these curses in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? Right? Look, this is what it says right here. And this is what it's talking about, these nations that's in power right now. And they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Look, all of these other nations is looking at the U.S. going, man, Pooh Shiesty got my back. You ain't the bully no more. You ain't Debo no more. I'm Craig with the BRIC. Right? They standing up. That's why you got Yemen, the Houthis in Yemen, lobbing rockets over there. Why? Because they know they got backing. Right? Because I guarantee you, let's look at it like this. I guarantee you, Salaki, I didn't even have that on the screen, but let's read that on the screen again through the spirit. Right? Let's read this. Right? This is for the daughter of Babylon that's going to be fallen. Isaiah's talking about the king of Babylon at his time, but this is a dual prophecy, right? Right? It's cyclical. It says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet. It's like hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It is stirred up the dead for thee, even all the chiefs of the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, right? All the kings of the nation is like, what's going on, right? What's going on here? What's cracking? And they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Meaning you ain't big bad wolf no more. It's what these nations are saying right now. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. It's like, look at you, man. You stinking, you filthy, right? You ain't like you used to be. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, meaning the light bearer, right? Has nothing to do with some red man with horns, right? We know this is just means the light bearer. And as a matter of fact, let's get that Hebrew word. Perfect opportunity to you know what I'm saying? What is the word for light bearer? Halal, right? When I say call halal, right? What does it mean in that context? right? Light bearer, shining one, the morning star, right? In this one, it describes the king of Babylon, right? But look at Esau. He got to say something that ain't have nothing to do with our culture, right? Shining one, light bearer. So if I say call halal, that's all brilliance, all praises, right? A light bearer is brilliant. It shines, right? Has nothing to do with Esau's mystical red man with horns, right? So y'all can get into that, you know what I'm saying, etymology. Always like to go into the words, right? O Lucifer, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground? Talking about the king of Babylon, because he was the star of the world at the time, right? Which did weaken the nations. Like he had all the nations under his fist, but he got broke down. You know what I'm saying? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Oh, bad move, right? Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, right? You're going to be brought down to a place of discomfort and utter pain, right? To the sides of the pit, right? Near death. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? U.S.? That's why you call it the daughter of Babylon, Mystery Babylon, because this same prophecy, it applies to you. At one point, weren't you the baddest navy on the planet, the baddest military on the planet, the only lone superpower, right? But now what? Now what? Right? That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners, right? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house. Like them niggas didn't come outside, right? They didn't come outside when Debo was around. But what? But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden underfoot. Like you stinking, man, like a dead carcass. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned, right? So you're going to be cut off, bro. You ain't even going to be buried with your people. You're going to die in the wilderness like a dog, like an animal, right? And then we got the one of the all-time go-to, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities, right? For I will rise up against them, said the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, said Yahweh the power, right? So that's what the heathens got going for them, which is nothing, right? But servitude. And then when that time comes, then they can live peacefully. But the bill is going to be due for what your fathers did. There's no getting away from judgment, right? So all this, we brothers, we cool. Yeah, bet. Show me something with that cash app to start, right? Other than that, it's lip service, bro. I'm not trying to hear it. See what I'm saying? Now, let's just go through this real quick, because I don't want to go into no full breakdown of Ezekiel, right? But we know where to go and study Ezekiel 38, and we know that Ezekiel 38 is a prophecy of the Prince of Moscow, right? Or the ruler of Russia. You see what I'm saying? So look, prophecy about Gog and future invasion of Israel. Now understand, we absolutely understand that Russia got to do what it got to do for the whore of Babylon to be taken down, but don't think for once that the enemy of your enemy is your friend. That's why I don't go with, oh, we all the world. It's nonsense, because that goes contrary to what my heritage, my inheritance says, what this word says. I'm not with that, because I already know what the Most High told me to look out for. Like, look, these people might be doing something to the people that did something to you, but they're going to turn around and try to get you, right? So we got to understand where our allegiance is, and it's right here to the Most High God, right? All we got to be doing is worrying about what is the will of the Most High God. We don't need to look for friendship with these other nations, right? Never trust your enemy. You see what I'm saying? Because out of one side of this guy's mouth, he can say, yeah, man, I'm down with y'all, man. I listen to rap. I'm cool, brother. We're all brothers. And out the other side of his mouth, he can say, yeah, most of my family don't like niggas. But one of them does. Man, come on, man. Who you think you playing with, bro? Hit that damn cash up and you might get an audience. All right? But look, if we go to Ezekiel 31, right? Ezekiel 31 from the top. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, right? And who is Gog? We're going to find out. It's going to tell us. The land of Magog, right? The chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, right? Gog is the chief prince of Meshech, right? The prince Meshech is modern, that would be modern day Moscow, and Tubal would be, you know, that's the municipality or the capital, and Tubal would be the surrounding lands, right? And prophesy against him and say, thus said the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. Right? Pushaishti, he got them hooks in his jaws, right? Because, you know, they was pushing them back away from the Eastern Bloc, which used to be part of the Soviet Union, or, you know, Poland, Lithuania, Hungary, right? What you got over there? Where is the Ukraine, right? All of these little Eastern Bloc, Russia, Georgia, it used to be the Soviet Union. All the stands, right? Uzbekistans and the Kyrgyzstans. There's so many stands, I don't know of them. But I know even Afghanistan used to be part of the Soviet Union. They pushed him away from that. But the Most High said, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. Hence, he got his foot all up in Ukraine because he got his hooks. The Most High said, nope, you're going to go back. All thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them, clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Look at that. And they're crushing Ukraine, right? And they probably telling Poland, you next. And whoever else is surrounding that Eastern Bloc, right? But look at this. Who's allies with him? Persia. Iran, right? Well, I'll be down, right? Iran is definitely in the mix. Ethiopia, huh? I mean, if that ain't dead on point, Ethiopia begging to be down, right? We know Iran is down with the BRICS, right? They got allegiances with the BRICS. They do joint military operations. They trade weapon secrets, right? With Russia and China, right? We know Ethiopia is down with them. They want to be down. Definitely Libya is down with them, right? Look at this. You can't make this up. This is the word right here. This is how you know that our book is the book. Our prophecy is the word of God, and it's true because it's unfolding before our eyes. You can't make this up. I want y'all to go through, read Ezekiel 38, right? Read it in depth and understand where all these lands and countries are. Some of them is blatantly obvious, right? But then look up, Ethiopia alliance with Russia. Matter of fact, let's Google that real quick. Let's Google it. Get back to the Google. So Ethiopia, give you an example. Ally with Russia. Let's see what Google say. Ethiopia and Russia established diplomatic relations in April 21, 1943. Russia currently has an embassy in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and Ethiopia has one in Moscow. So, okay, that's generally. Let's see. Russia's Africa moves force to Europe to rethink. So they've actually had, let's see, Russian military base Ethiopia. All right, let's see. Let's see. Russia is building its influence. You can't make this up, right? What is Gog doing? All right. Let's see what Gog is doing here. Just to verify things, right? Just to verify things. In the past, this was from 21. It's old, right? So in the past 2 months alone, Russia has signed military cooperation agreements with Nigeria and Ethiopia. We got to understand a lot of Nigeria is Ham, right? We do have Israel over there. We got the Igbo and the Yoruba, right? And some other tribes, but, you know, it's a lot of Ham over there, you know, Cush and Ethiopia, right? But look, they're going after the two most populous nations to dig their allegiances in, right? So let's see what's going on. Russia is challenging the status quo in Africa, right? Diplomatic. Look at that. Look at that. Libya, right? Ethiopia, Mali, right? Moscow has been building key strategic military alliances. What does the word say, right? Ethiopia, Libya. You can't make this up. See what I'm saying? You cannot make this up. See what I'm saying? Now, another thing I want a little bit of homework, you know what I'm saying? Because this is going to help your perspective. Like that Ezekiel 38 is unfolding as we speak. Word for word, country for country. You see what I'm saying? It's unreal, right? But another thing that you can do for sort of a homework or a research project, right? Oh man, okay, got you. Is this, let's go to Zechariah 9. Let's go to Zechariah 9. We'll land the plane here, but this is another good spot to go to understand how prophecy in this book is real and powerful. And you need to understand what times we're in, because it's not time to tarry. Tarry not. Please don't. You feel me? Tarry not. So let's go to Zechariah 9. Right? Judgment on Israel's enemies. Right? From the top. Zechariah 9, from the top. The oracle of the word of the Lord is against the land of Hadrach and Damascus. Okay. Syria is involved. Lebanon is involved, right? And the Hadrach is, right, is in Damascus, right? Lord is against the land of Hadrach, and Damascus is its resting place. For the Lord has an eye on mankind and all of the tribes of Israel. And on Hamath also, which borders on it, Tyre and Sidon, right? We're talking about all these, remnants of the Assyrian captivity, right? All up into the northern, Tyre and Zidon, all up the northern coast. But these are Hamites that I guess they would call, it's north of Israel, right? Where these people live in the time of King Solomon. But they were powerful merchants, sea merchants, right? Seafarers. They had powerful navies even back then, right? Hiram's Navy. See what I'm saying? But this area, if we look at it on the map, let's just show you how we do the research. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm going to show you how to do the research. Tyre and Zidon map. Boom. Let's go to the images. Okay. And we can see it right there, right? I mean, Lebanon, Sidon, Tyre, right? Damascus. See what I'm saying? Syria, Lebanon. You feel me? It's not rocket science. The Bible is plain upon tables. See what I'm saying? Tyre has built herself a rampart and heaped up silver like dust and fine gold like mud of the streets. These people wax rich, right? Trampling our land. But behold, the Lord will strip her of her possessions and strike down her power on the sea, and she shall be devoured by fire. Ashkelon shall see it. Let's look at that. Ashkelon. Right? Right. Ashkelon is in that same area, right? And Ashkelon shall see it. It's in that same area. I'm gonna give you the modern day, right? Because it's got, a maritime city of the Philistines, right? But if you look down in the let's look down in this right here. Ashkelon, a maritime city of the Philistines, which name is still retained by the little village standing in the ruins of the ancient city. So let's look that up, right? Let's go back to the Google. Let's look up Ashkelon. That little ancient city is still there, right? Let's get an image of it. Let's go to Ashkelon map. All right. Here we go. You see? You got the same thing. It's the Sumerian area, right? Let's get a little more detailed map. Ashkelon is actually a little bit closer to Israel, right? Right? See, Ashkelon is basically the Gaza Strip, right? And then in the ancient text, it says, it makes reference to the Philistines. We know the Philistines of that day are Hamites, but it's still that same land. The people that are there took the original land, right, of the people that were there and took on, some of the nomenclature of the people of that land, right? Like you said, cultural appropriation, but the scripture still holds true. You see what I'm saying? It's talking about all these people. Ashkelon shall see it and be afraid. Gaza too. See, these places are still there. And shall writhe in anguish. Ekron also, because its hopes are confused. The king shall perish from Gaza. Ashkelon shall be uninhabited, right? And look, this is the ESV. Let's go to the KJV. The ESV is trying to be too nice. It says a mixed people. I was like, what the hell we got going on? All right, here we go. Zechariah 9:6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. Where is Ashdod? That's the coast of our homeland, right there, right across from Jerusalem. And I will cut off the pride of the Philistines, right? So you got to read these chapters and understand where these places are. You see what I'm saying? Do your research, and do the research of who are the people at the time this was written, and who are the people, because this is a future prophecy. So just like when Revelation is talking about Babylon, it's not talking particularly about the actual physical landmass in Iraq, where the original ancient Babylon is, but it's talking about the current people of Babylon. But in this case, these are talking about actual cities that are still there. But then, for instance, the people that are there are different, but these places are the same. You see what I'm saying? Hence, the future prophecy, it says, Judah and Ephraim shall be delivered. See what I'm saying? So y'all get into that. And look, I'm a land the plane with one final thought, right? And I guess I can go to, where can I go? Habakkuk 2, right? Because look, this ain't the time to wait. This is not the time to wait. All right? Because look here, we see what's going on, and time is getting short because we see the signs of the times. But at the same time, tomorrow is not promised for you. And the Most High going to do what his will is. And if you're not ready to answer that calling, you're going to miss the boat. It's not time to tarry. You have to prepare yourself now. And the way to prepare now is in a spiritual sense, right? You got to get your spirit built up so that you can see what's going on. And the Most High will guide your steps appropriately, right? He'll give you the wisdom to move and navigate to this thing, and even to bear some of the things that we got to go through, because it's not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy, right? The powers of the world is going to come crumbling down in mass war. And when countries tumble from war, people suffer, right? It's going to be a lot of suffering, a lot of bloodshed, a lot of death, famine, and chaos, right? And when the power structure falls, there's going to be anarchy. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be Jacob's trouble. But we're going to have the angels going to have to encamp in order for us to survive these things and to be tried by the fire and endure until the end. Nothing less will suffice. So if you got one toe in the water and you dibbling dabbling over here, now is the time to dive in and be 10 toes down. Right? I'm gonna leave you with Habakkuk 2 and 3, because this ain't the time to tarry. You can't say, well, I'm gonna get this straight first and I'm gonna handle that first. No, ain't none of that. You already know what's up. You've been told at this point. Time is here and now or never. Like right now. Not now, but right now. You see what I'm saying? No time to play, because it's getting serious out there. All right. We'll start with 2. We'll just go from the top, man. You know what I'm saying? It's the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 from the top. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, right? And I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I will answer when I am reproved, right? We are the watchmen of the Most High. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, right? That he may run that readeth it. It's going to be plain upon tables what's written to you, and whoever reads it, you better get the running. Hit the ground running. It's not a walk, it's not a jog, it's a sense of urgency, right? And what is this message? For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. The Most High's word does not go out and come back void. It says, though it tarry, meaning, you know, we got to be patient. We got to endure to the end for some of these prophecies to unfold, right? Abraham was promised, you know, an inheritance of land and many nations, many children, many people came from him. But the chosen people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't enter into the land and through the covenant that was given to Abraham until 400 plus years after he sealed that covenant, right? So some of these prophecies may take time to unfurl. But what I'm telling you right now is you're not in a position to wait to get right, right? Let's read that again. For the vision is set for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, right? So like a thief in the night, like a wave that's come and gone, if you're not on board, you're gonna miss it, right? And what is it? Is it Daniel 8? The appointed time, just so you know. Daniel 8. The appointed time is the end. Let's see what Daniel said. The vision. Daniel's vision. The vision explained. All right. 1 second. Give you this last one, right? Because you got to understand what that appointed time is. I believe it's 15. Yeah. Somewhere around there. $19. There we go. Oh, I'm in the wrong chapter. So lucky. Daniel 8. Am I tripping? Daniel 8. Right? And 19. We know the story, right? That was revealed to him. And we know Daniel 7 is talking about the last captivity, but it's summarized right here. Right? What the appointed time shall be, right? And he said, right, this is Daniel 8, verse 19. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, right? We know what comes at the end because he told us in 7 that this is going to be the last captivity. For at the time appointed, the end shall be, right? So get your study up, right? Understand Daniel 7. See how it's the interpretation of the vision is revealed in Daniel 8, right? About the horns and the little horn, and which is modern day Babylon, and the ram and the goat, right? Get up on this prophecy, man. Study up on this prophecy so that you understand what's going on around you, right? And all praises, Ali Yeshai. Hey, I made haste and delay it not to keep thy commandments. Don't delay, right? All praises. And hey, so look, we right at, man, we don't went almost 2 hours a day, but look, we had a guest, right? You know, a heathen, a stranger, right? That wandered up in the room, and you see how they like, yeah, I'm down, man. I listen to rap, right? And you tell them niggas, man, hit that cash up. Oh man, I'm broke, but I got to go to work early in the morning. That don't add up. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I say to my loved ones. You feel me? Like, look, if I got 2, you got 1. If I got 10, you got 5. You know what I'm saying? So later for that, we all brothers, right? We already know what it is. We know what time it is for us, for us that the Most High deemed worthy of being part of the elect. Lord willing, we're in that number, right? But all we could do is do our due diligence, man. Stay diligent. Keep the faith, put in the work, put in your brick every day. keep these law, statutes, and commandments, have faith in the Most High God and in His Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, Yahushua Hamashiach in the Hebrew. See what I'm saying? And teach your family, teach your loved ones, teach your people to do the same. You know what I'm saying? Don't suffer not your brother unto sin. You feel me? It's that important, right? And so with that, I'm gonna get called Halal Yahweh. You know what? I'll give y'all one more quick minute in case a brother got a precept or a question or something wasn't clear, right? Because I'm at 155, going on 156. Might as well round it off to 2 hours. You see what I'm saying? What do you say tomorrow? Right? You see what I'm saying? As soon as it's time to cash out, right? And they, I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Hey, like a track star. You feel me? We brothers until I give him that cash out, right? We'll see. He talking about respect. We'll see if he come back through when that paycheck hit. Put your money where your mouth is. If you a heathen, talking about you down. Saying don't play with me. Talking about you broke. Like I said, let me catch a nigga in the hood that owe me money. Talking about he broke. And I see this nigga at the mall with bags. Or I see him out there tricking off. You know what I'm saying? Tricking off. You know what I'm saying? Up there trying to, you know, making it rain on some broad. Nigga, you gon' let me get that. Play with me. Feel me? It's not how we do this. All right? So look. It seemed like y'all good with it. If you learned a little something, let me know. Throw a 1 in the chat. You know what I'm saying? If it's some topics that you not clear on, just let me know. Hey, I want to understand more about this or that. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll know what to do going forward. But if you found some edification, throw some 1s in the chat real quick, because we just riding it out right now. I'm gonna cut it off right at 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? But your feedback is welcome. You feel me? Because I mean, I don't like to go into too much detail about geopolitics and this and that, but it's important right now. It's important to know what's going on and how it relates. So I just wanted to point y'all in the right directions where to look and get your study on. And if you got questions, leave a comment in the YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Under the YouTube video, right? And then on top of that, right, I put some links in the chat for all the articles I pulled up, all the videos. Some of the it's videos I pulled up that I didn't pull up, that I got links in the description, right? So check the description. There's additional or supplemental material that I talked about. And there's also, I put Deacon's breakdown or one of Deacon's classes about the BRICS. So you can, you know, get the full in-depth breakdown on that from the Deacon himself. All of that is in the description, right? And while we're here, right, hit us up on the IG. You feel me? Hit Whacked Out Everything up on that IG. Look, Sarge got that new fire line coming out of embroidery. Hit us up, man. You don't want to miss that, right? You can also hit us up on TikTok. You can leave us a message here, right? We got to contact us on the website. There's multiple ways to get at Whacked Out Everything, get that wool gear. Sarge got them. If thy right eye offendy, it's cracking right now. It's hot. You see what I'm saying? That industrial embroidery machine is putting in work. That thing is running, filling orders. You feel me? So look, hit us up. Check out that wool, right? If it's in your heart, you already know. Cash App, $ Bazak. You know what I'm saying? And we at that time. You know what I mean? 2 hours. I'm gonna call it a wrap. You know what I'm saying? Lord willing, brothers will edify, you know what I'm saying? And Lord willing, you know, the heathen gonna understand his place next time he come here talking about we brothers, right? And with that, I'm gonna get called Halal Yahweh by Shem Yahushai and Kwame Yasharallah.